In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Git and GitHub. So in the previous tutorial, I already showed you how to install Git and Visual Studio Code and Miniconda. So if you have not installed Git on your computer, you can follow this video to install the package, and then you can come back to watch this video. So let's get started. First of all, you need to go to Google site, and then you can go to resources, software, and from there you should see some of the common commands in here. And so if you haven't used a Git before, I can give you a quick introduction. So Git is a version control system that can help you manage and keep track of your source code history. On the other hand, GitHub is just a cloud hosting service that make it easier for you to use Git. So if you by the way, you also need to sign up a GitHub account. So if you haven't done that before, you can go to github.com, and then from there you should be able to sign up an account. So I already have one account. If you do not have one, you can go here and then click sign up and just fill in the information. One thing that's very important is the username. So make sure you choose a good username, because that's the one that you're going to use for all the projects. So make sure you choose a good username, and you can use your UTK edu email, or you can use your personal email account. Either one is fine. Once you create the GitHub account, then we can start create some repository. Before we get into the details about how to use GitHub, I want to so quickly demonstrate here these two diagrams just to show you what does that mean for Git and GitHub. So if you haven't used this before, let me give you an analogy. So for example, if you're working with your classmate on a team project that you're working all together. Let's say you are writing a paper with your advisor or some other collaborators. How do you actually write, right? You can, there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can write your manuscript draft using a Microsoft Word document, and then you can just work on that one, and then after you have the draft, you send to your collaborators, and they make changes and then send it back to you. But also on your computer, you might have multiple copies. So you might copy the file and then rename it to a certain version, and then basically at the end you have a lot of copies on your computer for the same file. When you are working on that, you're trying to keep track of the history. So Git basically is a similar idea, but you just have one copy. But you can always go back to your history. The other good thing about that is people can work on the can copy the same source, and then they can work on their individual copies, and after that they can merge it back to the master. So if you see from this diagram here, we have like green color and also some yellow color. So basically the green color here, you can see this one is the original source. This is also sometimes called branch. So this is the master branch, is the main one, and this is all kind of branch. It's basically a stem. So people copy from the master, and then they work on their own version, but at the end they can push it back to the master, so that you can update the master branch, and people can continue to basically build on top of the master branch. So in this way, it's much easier. So this is a way that people can collaborate, and hundreds or even thousands of people can work on the same source code. If you use the traditional way, you copy a Microsoft Word document, it's going to be a disaster when you have a lot of people working together. You just cannot imagine that you need to wait for other people to finish their task before you can do anything. Or sometimes if multiple people, you send a copy to multiple people, and they work individually on that document, and when they send it back to you, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to merge those edits into a single file. So Git basically makes things much easier, and this is how you can, why it is so popular in the coding community. Everyone is using Git if you're doing programming, so make sure you understand why it is very important. So here on the right here shows you a diagram about the workflow. What does this one mean? So we have basically multiple stages. The first one here is so-called the working directory. By the way, this right now might sounds very abstract. You might not be able to really understand this, but when we start using this, you will have a much better idea. For now, I'm just going to give you an overview. How does it work? Imagine that you are working on a number of files on your folder. So basically you have a folder, and then for those files, some of those are very important. You want to keep track. You can add to the so-called staging area. Anything in the staging area means that you are keep checking the changes. For those that not in the staging area, you just the file. Then sometimes might be just some temporary one that you don't really care about. So for those files, it doesn't have to be the staging area. You can think about the staging area as some of the highlights or the focus of your project, of the files that you want to work on. And then once you are working on the file in those in the staging area at a certain period, you might think that, okay, right now this is in a good state. I want to keep a good copy of this, so that you just need to basically take a snapshot. So in the Git command, you basically just commit. So commit means basically take a snapshot, and then once you commit, you can choose to push to the remote, basically cloud computing service, like to have a copy over there, or you can just continue to work on the file again, and then you can commit again. So if you find another file that you want to keep track, you can add to the staging area, make changes, and then commit. So actually very simple and easy to use. I will give you some examples later so that you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's the basic about Git and GitHub. So Git is a version control system that allows you to manage and keep track of the source code history. On the other hand, GitHub is just a cloud hosting service that you can host, create and manage all kind of Git repositories. Okay, so you can think about maybe analogy of using, they say, email and email client. So okay, so email, right? It's just like a protocol. Everyone, all the companies, they can all use email to actually receive and send email. And also there are a lot of email clients. For example, you can use Microsoft Office 365, or you can use Gmail, you can use Outlook. There are so many different email providers, but they all follow the same protocol. That's why you can receive email or send email to different email services. You don't have to exactly, everyone has to be using the same email provider. Okay, so and for GitHub, so in addition to GitHub, there are also some other Git services. So then the other one very popular is called GitLab. By the way, GitHub used to be a standalone company, but it was acquired by Microsoft, I think probably 2 years ago, and so right now it's part of Microsoft. And at that time when GitHub was acquired, many people got angry and they moved to the other one called GitLab. So this one is more like open source, but it's much less popular compared to GitHub. So but this is an option. And also there's the other one called, I think, called Bitbucket. Okay, so these two, I think, are pretty much the most popular alternative if you don't want to use GitHub. But for now, for this course, we're just going to use GitHub because everyone is using that, and there's no reason that you want to use GitLab or Bitbucket if you are not familiar with those websites. Okay, so next, let's take some action. So first of all, if you go to GitHub, and then once you sign up an account, you should be able to go to upper right corner here. You can click to see your profile. So I already have some of these in here. I'm gonna, in the next video, I'm gonna show you how to actually create this. But for now, let's create a brand new Git repository. So you can either click here, or you can click upper right corner, and you just click new repository. So once you click new repository, right, you can choose a template if you want to use some template. In this tutorial, we're just going to use no template. And so here's the owner. Keep that in mind. When you create the GitHub account, this will be the username. So you need to make sure that you choose a short username or something that you want to use. And so the repository name is basically a folder. At the end, we are going to download this one to your local computer. So make sure that you also choose a good name. In this example, I'm going to use GOG 510. By the way, you can also use the same name, this one, in your account. So this name, it has to be unique under your account. So under your account, you can only have one name, this, but other user can also have this one, as long basically you can have the same repository name under different accounts. So you're welcome to choose any one you like. And then you can put in a description. So I can say this is a repository or repo for GOG 510. You can put a longer description if you want. And there are two options you can select. You can use public. So basically means if it is public, everyone will be able to look at the source code of your repo. If it is private, only you can see that. So it's basically just a private. In this example, you're going to use the public. And then from here, you can choose basically what information, what kind of a file you want to create with this repository. You don't have to select any. If you just right now directly click repository, you'll be an empty one. So just basically an empty folder. Okay, but for us, for me, for this video, I'm just going to click this one, add a readme file. And you also want to use this one. For now, we don't need to go through this right now, but you can git ignore. So what does this mean? Basically, we have chosen this one to be a public repo, but you might have some files that you are working on your local computer, but you don't want to push this one to the public repository. So basically, you want to ignore some files. You want to hide some files from being stored up on the repository. Then you can use a .git ignore. Okay, so for now, we can, if you want, you can choose like what kind of language you are using. So we are using Python. You can just search Python, and from there you can select this one. So when you add this .git ignore, it's going to ignore some of the Python files that are being generated for some temporarily. You don't really want to push those temporary files to the GitHub repo. So you can choose Python. If you use other language, you can do that as well. Okay, and also the next one, choose a license. So what does that mean? So in the open source community, there are all kinds of licenses, and you're welcome to, if you don't include a license, people might not be reuse your source code because they don't know what license you are using. Do you permit them to copy your source code? Do you have any copyright, something like that? So there are a lot of licenses available in here. You're welcome to look into each individual one, but the one that I commonly use is so-called the MIT license. So basically this one is the permissive license that anyone can copy and modify your source code, but they can keep they give you so you retain the copyright, but you are not liable for anything that damage or cause whatever. So I'm going to choose this one, and let's see. You can click. By the way, so if you don't click any of those, you will create an empty repository. But for the purpose of a demonstration, I'm just going to create these three files, and then just click create repository. Okay, So once we have this, right now you can see this is the repository that we just created. And so here is the basically the interface, right? So we have these 3 files. If you want to look at, for example, the MD, so the Markdown, this is what we want to talk about later. So Markdown basically is just a simple, you can just think about like a TXT file, and but when this being rendered on the website, it's going to be able to, you can change the formatting. But for the simple TXT, is everything is just like normal text. You cannot add any format to the TXT. For Markdown you can. So you can see, for example, here is like title, okay, and this is like normal text. So you can have different formats, and this is how you can actually have create a website using Markdown. So as you can see from this, these are all using the Markdown, one single file. So okay, readme.md. I'm going to show you in the next video how to create this, but for now let's continue with this website or this repo. Okay, and then you can basically you can explore some of those things in here available. So once you are familiar with how to manage the GitHub repository, then you'll be able to actually to contribute to the open source community, because everyone is using the same stuff here. So first, let's go over some of the key things in here you want to be familiar. So you'll be, this is the name of the repository. You can see the URL, right? So it'll be github.com/ and then your username / the name of your repo. So, and this is the URL. You can copy and send the link to anyone. They will be able to open the URL. Upper right corner here, we have 3 tabs. So the first one is watch. So if you click, right, you can watch, because this one is your repo. You want to look be notified with all the activity. You can also click this one. So if you click the ignore, you will not receive any notification. So all activity means that if anyone create an issue or submit an issue, you will be able to receive an email notification. You can also just choose participating and mention. So what does this mean? This means that only get an email notification when someone use add. Okay, add someone. That means you specifically you want someone to pay attention. Okay, so you can choose this if you want. For now, I'm just going to keep all the activities. And also here, the next one is a star. That means people like your repository. They want to bookmark your repository. So the more stars you have, the big means the more popular. Fork. So this is like people interested in your source code or interested in making changes. But keep that in mind, this is the repository that you create. It's only you can make changes, okay? So other people cannot actually change the repo unless they submit a pull request. But some people might want to directly just make a copy and then put it into their account so they can make changes without having to push the changes to your repository. So this is how you can use fork. Fork means, okay, make a copy of the current repository and put that copy into my account so that I can make changes. Okay, so this is also an indication people are interested in your repository. Okay, so these are some of the indicators. For example, if you go to my account, here's some of the repository that I created, and as you can see, some of those are actually quite a high number of people actually start and fork the repo. So but later, right now, I mean, it's only 0 and 0, but people might discover your repo and then they might like it, and you will see the increasing number of stars and forks. Okay, so also the second one is issue. Let's click this one here, and this is how like you can contribute or you can open any issues if you find any problem. We're gonna go through this one later. So for now, don't worry too much about these options. And so we already created the repository. So the next thing we want to do is that, okay, now I want to make some changes. There are 2 ways you can make changes. The first way is just directly make changes using the website in here. So if you see the icon here, the edit icon, right, you can click And from here, actually, we can just make changes directly in here. So I can say, oh, repository for GOG 510. I can say software design. Okay, and so once I if I hit commit changes, as you can see from here, you need to commit changes, and there are two ways. You can also basically define everything that every steps you are making changes. GitHub will record your operations. So basically anything that you do is being tracked. And before you add anything here, there you need to put a description. So this is what you can put. For example, if you don't put anything, by default it's going to be update readme.md, but you can change to any description you want. And also two ways, commit directly to the master branch, and also you can create a new branch. The reason why we use the branch, think about here, if you have a software package that a lot of people are relying on that, and you're trying to add some new functions to that, but sometimes it might break some other stuff. So that's why you don't want to directly commit everything to the master. You want to test it and then use a branch. Once you figure out, and then you have a silo testing and everything works fine, then you can merge to the master branch. Think about like software company, they're trying to release different versions. They say ArcGIS 10.1, 10.2, or 10 right now is 10.8, right? So you don't want to make changes to your master branch frequently. You only want to test things on a new branch, and then after you want to release a new one, then you can merge that one to the master branch. Anyway, we would practice this more later when we do the coding, but for now we can just hit simply commit changes, and it's done. So now if you come back to here, this one is changed. So how can I see all the commit history? You can go to here, right? The two commits. So if you click, you will see from this in here, right? So the initial commit is when we created the repository, and the other one is that we just updated. So if you want to see, if you click here, right? So here shows you the history. Anything that's in green, it's newly created. So basically anything that will be, you can either create or you can delete, right? There are only two modes. Or you can also move others, move several lines of code. But if this green right now, basically created. So we have three files, right? The first one, the second one, and the third one, right? So the git.git ignore license, and also the readme.md. So this is the first when it was created, right? But right now, if we go to the second commit, we click, and you also showing here, right? So this line right now is in red color. So red color means being deleted. Actually, we didn't delete this line, we just add a new line, but it's also considered as being deleted, and then add a complete new line. And this is in green color. You can also make comments in here if you want, but for now, we want to basically, this is not a good, this is only for some simple task. For complicated one, we want to make changes using Visual Studio Code, and then we can push changes to the GitHub. So the next step is how we can actually get this one to our computer. Okay, so if you click the green button in here, code, if you click this one, here shows you how you can actually clone this one to your local computer. Okay, there's also a GitHub desktop, but you don't really need to use that. It's very simple. So all we need to do is to click the icon here, copy. Once you copy this one, this is the URL for this repository, and then you can come back to your computer. Okay, so from there you can, for example, I'm going to go to my documents, and then from here maybe I can create a new folder. Let's say call name GitHub. Okay, and from here you can right click and then use this one, Git Bash. Okay, so Git Bash, basically we want to open our Git Bash in here. From there, then you can you can use the command Git Clone to basically copy the repo from GitHub to your local computer. So how do we do that? Once you open Git Bash and then you just type Git Clone. Since earlier we already copied, so right now you can right click and then paste. Okay, so this is the URL. All you need to do, just hit enter. Okay, so you will see now this is already downloaded to our computer. Then we can start making changes. So this is how easy it is. Once we make the changes, we just need one line of one command, and then you can push the changes to GitHub, and everything will be reflected in here. But before we go get into more detail, I want to show you some of the commands in here. But I think I forgot to put a URL in here just to show you what's the first command. So you'll be Git Clone, right? Paste, and I'm gonna update this one. Will you publish website? Okay. And before we do make any changes, I would like you to actually configure your Git, right? So the reason why we need to configure it is that later when we want to push the changes to back to GitHub, we need to be able to identify where those changes come from. So because in the previous video I show you how to install Git, but we have not configured. So basically you need the name and also your email. Okay, so the email is your GitHub email that you use, and all you need to do is just follow this these two lines. This is just one time only. Once you configure it, it's there, so you don't need to reconfigure it. And so the first one will be git config space and then hyphen global space user doc name. So the user doc name, this is the your name. Okay, so I can just double quotes and then you can put my real name and then hit enter. Okay, so I already configured my user my name. Then I can configure my email. Okay, so my email that I use will be gswqs@gmail.com. okay, so and then hit enter. Once we configure it, then we can take a look at the list. So hyphen geo global hyphen list. And so this is what we have right now. This is already basically registered into the system. So this is my name, this is my email that I use for my GitHub account. So next, then we can make changes and then push the changes back to GitHub. Okay, so how can we do that? You can either right click the folder and then open with code, basically Visual Studio Code, or you can directly open Visual Studio Code and then click the icon here, open folder, and then navigate to the folder. So under documents, GitHub, and then select the folder, select it's automatically open. So as you can see right now we have opened the project, and so these are the 3 files, right? So next I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually to make changes. Also, because we already earlier we already installed in the previous video, we installed the Git length. So this is the extension, and right now if you see my cursor hover over here, you're able to see, like for example, the history, right? A repo for this, and this is being deleted. This is the new line. So it will show you all the history. So this is pretty nice. You can click some of those icons to open the changes, or you can revert the changes, or you can open the commit on Git repository, right? So if you click, it will directly come back to here. So very nicely, very useful extension. So next, how about this? Let's make some changes, and then so that we can push the changes back to GitHub. So all we need to do, once you are here, then you can start making all kind of changes using the editor. So this is the Markdown. You can just simple write any text. Okay, so I can say this is a text. I can also add multiple lines. We will introduce more about Markdown in the next videos, but for now, I can just let you know. So one power side basically is label 1 heading. Label 1, you can have 2 power sides, okay, and 2 power sides. You'll be you can see this is what you can say lectures, okay. Okay, 2 more power sides, labs, Control X, and then you can Control K. So if you on your keyboard, you can hit Control K, and then hit V. V as a Victor. You'll be able to actually preview what it looks like. So Control K and V, it will show up here on the right. As you can see from here on the right, this is what it potentially looks like on the website, and you can add more contents, right? Label 2, okay. All lectures will be posted here, and you can continue to write anything you want. All lab assignments will be posted here, okay. Again, Control K and V, you will see the text in here. Once you are satisfied with the changes, keep that in mind. When you see the white dot here, that means it's unsaved. So you can hit Control Save on your keyboard to save the changes, or you can go to File, Save, or Save All. If you have multiple files open, you can have Save All. So I can say just hit Save. So once it's saved, if you look at on the left side here, there are 3 icons. So the third one here is this one is the source control. So if you click this one, this is how easy it is right now to manage Git using Visual Studio Code, right? So if you have one file being changed, you will say 1. If you have more files that are being changed, the number will also change. So you can click the file, and once you click the file, on the right here shows you 2 files are side by side. So the first one here, this is the original. The one on the right is what's being changed. So again, green represent addition, and if you delete something, you will see the red color. So this is how easy it is right now. If you see an M, that means it's modify, okay. So we modify this file, and if you want to, let's say right now we are satisfied with this one, so how can we actually push this one to GitHub? Okay, before we do that, we need to add a message. So like we did earlier on the website, that oops, is it still on there? So earlier when on the website, everything is here commit, right? So we had 2 commits. So every commit you can think about is a snapshot. So you take a snapshot of what you are doing, and then you can save a copy. But similarly in here, we can add a message in here. So I can say updated readme, and you can say a little bit more detail with lectures and labs, okay. So once you have this one, you can commit, right? You can say commit all, or just commit. So, and you can also commit stage. So stage basically the staging area. As I mentioned at the beginning, staging area is already something you want to keep track of. If something is not, let's say, let me come back to here, just create a new file. So if you right click, new file, I can have this one, for example. What no names we use? I can say maybe just a new file, whatever. I can use doc.txt. It can be any file extension you want. So if you click, now you see here this is in green color. So EU means unchecked. So this one right now is not in the staging area. So these two files, whatever you're checking in here, the first file is still in the working directory. It's not being tracked. So any changes you make, it's not being tracked. If it has an M, that means modify. Modify, that means this one right now is already in the staging area. Okay, so let's come back to it again. If you want to commit both files into the staging area to take a commit, once you write the message, and then you can control enter. So if you hit control enter, it's going to automatically commit. Or you can also come to here, commit all, or in here just commit all. But I usually use the shortcut. The keyboard shortcut is control enter, and you will ask you, there are no stage changes to commit. Would you like to stage all changes and commit them? Let me show you in here. Okay, one more time. If you see the plus sign, this right now, the changes we make, they're all in the working directories, though they are not being tracked yet. So if you want them to be tracked, you can just hit plus, right, and plus. So now they're basically stage changes. So stage means they are ready to be taken a snapshot. Okay, so here changes right now is empty. That means all files right now we are working from here is already being staged. They are being focused. Okay, and one more time you can hit control enter. This time won't show you any message. That means it's already being committed, and you can see the commit history. Okay, so we click this one here, you can move this one up, and so okay, this is the first one, this is the second one. So this is the one that we just committed, and you also see the different icon in here. This one right now is still on our local computer. So next, what we want to do is to push the changes to GitHub. So if you click here and then just select push, and then you will open this dialog asking you to log in, right? Because when you're trying to make changes to GitHub, you need to be authorized to do that. So all you need to do, you can just sign in, and you will open up. All you need to do, authorize, right? And then you need to enter your password. So, and it's already authenticated. Then you can come back to here. Okay, so looks like it's already being pushed. So we can go back to GitHub and we can take a look. So come back to the repo, refresh, right? So everything is right now is being uploaded in here. You have the file, so you can see 3 commits, right? So this is the one that we just committed from our repository. I can see here 3 lines, 2 lines that we just added. As you can see, it's not difficult. Once you get used to it, you can use Visual Studio Code without actually have to write any command line. But make sure that you follow the steps I show you in here to configure it. So you need to show up your name, and this is why you need to configure it, because when you make changes at the end, your name is going to match whatever your username in here. Okay, also your email once you authenticate. And let's come back to here. Also, if I make changes, right, so let's say right now you have a copy here on your computer, right? So if you come back to here, these are the files right now we work on, right? We can also make changes using the browser, and then we can pull the changes to our computer. So basically you want to synchronize the changes between your computer and the web version. So how can you do that? Let me one more time. I can go into the readme file, and let's say right now I don't need this line, I want to delete this line. Okay, so all I need to do, edit the file and come back here. I can just remove, and then you can have a message like a comment in here. I'm going to just use the default one and then commit changes, and if we come back, okay, it has been updated. So now this one has 4 commits, but if you come to our local copy, this is still here and this line is still here. So how can you actually pull the changes? There are 2 ways, right? So for other people, if you don't know how to use Visual Studio Code, people can come to here, this one, and then download as a zip file. Once you have the zip file, you can unzip this one to your local computer. But this is not a good way, so you don't really want to use this, because you end up have to download repeatedly. So think about, if you have a repository that's several megabyte or tens of megabyte, you don't really need to download the entire one, because you only make some small changes to this one, right? So you can actually use Visual Studio Code easily to pull the changes. So all you need to do, on the left side, go to source control, and then from here again click these 3 dots, and then just click this one, pull. Pull means you want to pull the changes from a GitHub. Push, that means you want to push changes on a local computer to GitHub. So this one is the coming in, this one is going out. So we want to just use this one. Pay attention to this one in here. Right now this line is still here. Once we click the pull, you see it's gone. So now these 2 copies are being synchronized. So the copy on your computer is the same as the one on GitHub. Also, if you see the commit history, right? So you can also see this one. This is what we changed earlier, right? You can see this one is being deleted, so in red color, and this is the new one, the latest one. Okay, so that's pretty much about this video. I show you how to actually use Git and GitHub, but in the next video I'm going to show you more detail how we can you can have a lot more things to do using Git and GitHub. But that's all for this video. See you in the next one.